Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have with us Dr. Catrina Mitchum. She's the founder of Catrina Mitchum Learning Design, and we'll learn from her. She helps service-based business owners design online programs that drive client success, not frustration. And we'll learn from her how to avoid common course creator mistakes and build experiences that truly transform. Welcome to the show, Dr. Catrina.
Thanks so much for having me.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show. Welcome to India in this online form, Dr. Catrina. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. We'll learn from you how to create courses that actually work on fixing online learning for clients. We'll learn all that. But before that, let's learn a bit about you, your background, your journey, your story, so that the audience knows who they are listening to.
Sure. Yeah. So I started my business about almost 3 years ago. And I'm coming out of a long career in higher education. And I got into higher education because I wanted to break down barriers to learning, right? I wanted students to be successful. And so that's what I did. That's what I studied. And I specifically got into online education because I felt like those were the students that were coming back to school often, right? They're the non-traditional students. And they often needed more help because the education system had let them down in the past. So that's how I got into that. And then I left, because burnout, I always say, if you know a teacher that's leaving, because it's a little hard right now. But I decided to take a course to help me get out of higher education. And it was terrible. It was absolutely worst learning experience I'd ever had. And as I started talking to more people, I didn't hear a single person not have a similar story. Everybody that I talked to had a really terrible course that they bought and then they just stopped. And so that's how I figured out, what my business should be about and who I should be helping and why, right? To kind of make the course creation industry more successful, because client success matters to your success, really.
Absolutely, Dr. Catrina. So when you say a terrible course, what is a terrible course? Is it about the knowledge, or it is something else, or overall experience? Help us understand from that point of view. A person will think, I am an expert, I am doing the best that I can, and still if someone thinks it's terrible, where is it that I am going wrong?
Yeah. Well, I think it's an easy mistake to make, because just having knowledge doesn't mean you can teach the knowledge. And when you haven't been trained as a teacher, you end up just doing how you were taught, right? We replicate the ways that we were taught. And so it's not coming from a place of like, oh, I want to create a terrible course. It's just coming from a place of not knowing, And so how do you know? Typically, the number one mistake that course creators make is they start with the content first. They start with just giving knowledge, but we don't learn by pouring information into our heads. That's not how it happens. And so if the information isn't supporting action, then we're going to end up with courses that are terrible. Now, so there's varying degrees of terrible. The one that I had bought, it was like that. It was just a collection of videos. Some of them were an hour to 2 hours long. Some of them were just Q&As. They weren't like actual things that I should be learning and doing. And there was no pathway, right? Learning should be an experience and a journey, because people buy courses, they enroll in higher education because there's something they want to change. And if you're not giving them the space and the path to make those changes, then they're not going to have a good experience. So it's often not actually about the knowledge. Sometimes it's too much knowledge. It's typically about the design not being created for actual learning, the way adults learn online.
Absolutely. So when you are talking about online courses, you are talking more in terms of academics or people who are there to learn a particular skill or something, because different people are there to learn different things from different people. So I want to understand, when you talk about this, what is it that you are generally talking about?
When I talk about this, it's generally talking about courses that you buy, right? So when you buy, let's say, a course on one of the big platforms, right, like Kajabi or Udemy or, the ones that do a lot of the marketing for you, um, a lot of the times it is just information. Sometimes you get a how-to, right? So sometimes skills-based courses, they have action built into them already, right? You'll just see a lot of screencasting, specifically with technology for how to do this thing. But when we're doing something other than teaching a technology where it's easy to show the screen, sometimes that starts to fall off, right? So if we're teaching things like time management, right? That's a big one that I see, or teaching people how to create a brand, right? That's something that I see in the online business world. A lot of people want to teach you how to make a brand. Those are things that are harder to show, like how to step by step on a screen, because they have to be so different from person to person. And so it's really important to create a design that allows for all of the different people that come to you to take that course, what their skill level is, how much time they have in a week. If you have an estimate of how much time they need, double it. Whatever you think, however long you think it's going to take them, double it. That's a good rule of thumb, because it's better to get things done faster than to take more time than you thought it was going to take. Just psychologically, it increases motivation if you get things done faster.
Absolutely. So if can you explain this part? Means whatever you think they will be the time, you double it. And you said that it's people want to learn things quickly. So are these two different things or same things?
I would say they're two different things. So when you're designing a course, you want to give enough quick wins that it's still motivating, but you have to sprinkle in the challenging things too, right? If they didn't need to learn it, then it wouldn't be it wouldn't be a challenge. And it's kind of about finding that right balance of just challenging enough that it feels rewarding, as opposed to being so challenging they feel like they can't do it. And so that is a little bit different than time estimates. And so time estimates is just you anticipating, like, this is going to take you 30 to 60 minutes to do this activity and listen to this audio, or however you're delivering the content. Doubling it makes it so that
Okay.
they're putting more than enough time aside to be able to actually do the things. A lot of people will buy courses and then they just stop because they don't have time, or because one activity took them too long. And you don't want that, because then they're not going to rave about you, right? They're not going to give referrals. They're not going to buy anything else from you. And so it's really important to make sure that you set the path up for them to be successful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We come to the service based, this all course creators and course creators. After this question, firstly, let's look at from the people who are buying the courses.
Mhm.
How would you want them? Because nowadays almost everyone is a course creator. Whoever knows whatever little they will want to create a course. Nothing wrong with that, except that the market is flooded with courses, and the platforms are there to sell it. Obviously, every course they will make their money. But for students, or whoever it is buying these courses, they are there to learn seriously, and also because they are spending the money. That's why, obviously it is understood that they will learn. What are the mistakes that they could be making in terms of choosing the not the right course, but in whether that course is suitably designed? Is it full of mistakes, or it's a terrible course from that point of view? How should you want the students to actually choose the right course amidst thousands of same type of courses available online?
Yeah, that is a great question. And it can be hard, right? If there's not enough in the description to tell you what the experience is going to be like. And that's what you should be asking. Ask questions, right? You can reach out to the course creator and ask questions about the course. And you should be able to find out what the experience is like. How long do they think it's going to take you? What kinds of activities are in there? What are the goals that you're going to be reaching? Are they concrete? When I get to the end of this course, am I going to be able to build a landing page, or am I going to be able to actually manage my time so I get things done, or am I going to be able to know how to outsource something, right? If you don't see those goals it's okay to ask questions. And I think that that is something that a lot of people forget. Like they don't want to bother someone, or they feel like they should already know it, or they should be able to read and understand it. But, writing is communication, and miscommunication happens all the time. And so I'm a firm believer in asking and making sure that the information that you're getting is about the experience and the goals and the things you're going to be doing. How much support is there, right? Are you going to be able to ask questions when a problem comes up? Do you know where you're going to get tech support help from, right? All of those things are really important to determining whether or not it's a course that's been set up for your success.
Absolutely. What about the names? It's a big creator name, and then you are much more lured towards this. Without then, you will not be seeing the course itself. That where can you make mistakes there? What about the price? Everything looks to be similarly priced. Even the big ones, the lesser ones, and the smaller ones. How do you then evaluate on these two aspects also, Dr.
Yeah.
Catrina?
That's a great question. So I always say, in terms of big names, go to Reddit because or Threads. Threads is also a big one. Like there are tons of, what course do you regret paying for? They're usually expensive ones too. And you'll sometimes see the same things over and over and over. And those are going to be the courses where it's often somebody that everybody's heard of, and it's a program that everybody's heard of. And these are going to be the voices that were not served the way they wanted to be served. And so that's a really good, like, ask them questions on Reddit and Threads. Like, what was your experience? Why didn't you like it? Get more information that way, because it's going to be true. And I never say that about Reddit. Like, Reddit isn't always true, but in these cases, when a bunch of people are saying the same things about the same program, it's usually at least a little bit of truth to it. In terms of pricing, that one is hard because people just pull prices out of the air. They don't really, everybody says to value it, or do value pricing, or they want to make it cheap enough that people want to buy it, or it's a course that they have priced lower because they want to get you into their bigger programs. And so I don't know that price is the best indicator of whether or not it's good. I have seen really low ticket courses that are just designed super well, and then higher ticket ones that are just a collection of, it's just a video vault, just a collection of videos that you've paid for. So unfortunately, that one is not one that will help you decide if it's good or not.
Absolutely. So the guiding line should be that just try to know as much as possible whether you will achieve what you are, going for this course for.
Mm-hmm.
And if it will, you will be able to achieve that particular goal or not. Is that the right guidance for anyone who looks for the course? Because otherwise you may be beating around the bush and not learn what you actually want to. Rest you will learn everything else.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Look for the goals, the things that they're telling you that you should be able to accomplish, and how much support is being offered versus how much support you think you need, right? If this is something that you struggle with and you feel like you're going to need a lot of handholding, then make sure that that's the kind of support that's available in that course. And if not, then go look for one that does have that kind of support.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So now let's go to the course creators here now. And now, because you have made the buyer smarter, let's make the course creator understand that the buyer is a smart person and they need to fix things that are not. What are the wrong things that you find mostly in today's courses? They are selling, not selling, but this is what you understand. This is something that needs to be fixed, and which these course creators do not know about service-based business owners.
Yeah. So the number one is that it's focused too much on content and not enough on action. And so what I recommend doing there is start with the goals, because you should have them, and then work backwards, focusing on the steps that they're going to take. So what is the step right before they've reached that goal? What's the step before that? And that will help you make the course action-based. And only then do you decide what content, what information they need to support the step or the action. So that would be the first one. The second one is there's not enough why behind it, right? There's not an explanation of the purpose for why you're having them watch each video, listen to each audio, do each task. That why is super important, because if we're not explaining the purpose and making a direct connection to real life, adults don't want to do it, right? We're all busy having lives and taking care of kids or taking care of parents or sometimes both, or working 9-to-5 jobs or whatever the situation happens to be. Adulting adults only want to do it if it's clear why they're doing it and how it's connected to them changing their reality or doing something in their real lives. And so making sure that as you're giving tasks or giving content, this is going to help you do XYZ, even if it's further along in the course. Explain how it's setting them up to be able to do something. And that why, explaining that why, is what actually creates a learning journey instead of just like these kind of lockstep steps that don't feel connected.
Absolutely. So, Dr. Catrina, people will hear you and they will think, Dr. Catrina, you are telling that my present situation is not good in terms of my courses. Those courses are not very good. Now, either I pull out those courses or I can make some changes in that. How do I do that? Is there a way one can make those fixes into the present courses that are online? How do you do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do, and I can't remember if I gave you this link or not, Jay, but I have a free checklist, and it's the one that I use when I do audits. So I do course audits that result in giving a recommendations report and an action items list. And I have that checklist that I just give away. It's pretty comprehensive. It's across 3 things, whether it's clear, completable, and accessible, because accessibility is also pretty key. So yeah, there's a checklist for that.
Absolutely. What about starting a course? Is it different than what it was 2-3 years back? Is it a very different game altogether right now? What are the few things that one should know if I were to start, a course today?
Yeah. I think in terms of selling courses, there's a big trust issue now. Too many people took too many terrible courses and now they don't trust people. So it's about, to me, it's about also validating in ways that people weren't necessarily validating earlier on. And so making sure that as you're even just picking the topic, right? Have 3 potential topics that you might write about or might have in your course, and ask the people around you that are potential buyers. Like, is this a course that you would take? If you did take this course, are these goals that you might be interested in? And really, focusing on validating several points before you spend, it's a lot of time and energy to build a course. Like, it's a lot of hours. Even with AI helping, it takes time. And so making sure that you have validated that throughout is a really important change, I think, or difference.
Absolutely. And so, Dr. Catrina, when do you come into the picture? Is it before the course, or between a terrible course, or after the course has gone wayward? How does your presence work in this whole situation?
Yeah. I tend to come in at 2 different kind of places. You have a course and it's just not going well. Like maybe you ran a beta test, nobody finished, you can't get testimonials, that kind of thing. That's when I do course audits. And if you want me to help you fix it, I can. And I'm getting ready to launch a beta test of my own for a badging system. So then you would have a badge that you can use in your marketing. And then at the other end of the spectrum, I get folks who are coming and they want a course, but they're very overwhelmed, or they have started and they got stuck. And in that situation, I have a membership starting up that is intended to help with that. Right now, I have a series of guides, like making the course, guides on doing the marketing and sales, guides on getting feedback and using the feedback. And all of that's going to be built into the membership.
Absolutely. There's so much to learn about all this from you, Dr. Catrina, and I'm sure a lot of people will want to connect with you. What's the best way for them to do so?
LinkedIn is actually the easiest place to get to me, because you can message me on there, connect with me on LinkedIn.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thanks for having me.